Hello everyone, this is Friar Tim, recording from my office here at Newman. This video is my canonical report back to you on the status of the parish. Much of the material is drawn from our this year's Newman annual report. Most of you should have gotten this in the mail. If you have not gotten this in the mail and you'd like a hard copy, please contact the parish office. Otherwise, please check on the website where there is a digital version available for you. It has all the information in it. Briefly, looking at this past year, one knows that the year 2020 has been, to quote Queen Elizabeth II, speaking of some years back, an annus horribilis, a rather horrible year. But in this rather horrible year of pandemic and election stress and economic difficulties, Newman really managed to pivot and not pause in its mission. Parish life and parish sacraments went on, either digitally, and then we were able to gather in person. Adult faith formation shifted from an in-person model to a digital model. Small faith groups did the same thing. Campus ministry did the same thing, perhaps quicker than the rest of us, but again, they are some years younger than the rest of us. Children, youth, and family ministry also did the same thing. And service and justice, while we shifted a little bit more to adult ed model, we are trying to find a monthly activity to gather goods and services that are necessary for the poor. So we pivoted and not paused in carrying out our mission. We were also able to make some steps forward towards the future. We constituted a parish pastoral council, which has been fully operating now since August, meeting monthly. We have rehabilitated and reworked the parish vision strategic plan, and that has been broadly accepted by the groups that put it all together, with some tweaking and with some language changes. And we've also formed task forces that implement various parts of the strategic plan on an annual basis. So we are moving forward and we are moving into the future. Now, the stewardship questions in terms of money. As you saw from the annual report, we had an absolutely fabulous, positive year where we were very, very far in the black. A very profitable year, notwithstanding everything else. Why was that so? First of all, there are three windfall factors that entered into this. We received over $300,000 in unanticipated bequests, and we have been remembering our benefactors most particularly in our prayer. And we do ask you to consider leaving a bequest also to Newman, thinking about it in your own financial planning. Secondly, with the diocese's permission and the diocese's urging, we entered into the federal PPP, Payroll Protection Plan, which granted us some $115,000 to secure the salary of our lay staff during this period. Third, the Diocese of Raleigh either forgave or deferred some $70,000 worth of payments that we owed the diocese. So these three factors together are one-time windfalls that helped us out tremendously. Secondly, you helped us out tremendously by your generosity. And you helped us out tremendously in your generosity, particularly around the questions of special collections. We had budgeted $25,000 for building and maintenance, and you actually gave us $57,000. The excess money, we were actually able, $27,000 of that, we were able to bank for the next year, where we have several fairly large building and maintenance issues around security, the roof, and video upgrading that we're trying to do. Secondly, We had budgeted $30,000 for debt reduction collection, and you gave us almost $95,000. That $95,000 was used to pay our $116,000 bill still owed to the diocese. Some other of that money was, of course, deferred until later time, so our bills were, as I pointed out, much lower. Third, dating back to the summer of last year, we collected $104,000 in HVAC money. We spent almost $70,000 on the new system, and we were able to bank $34,000 that has been designated towards the maintenance contract and the maintenance of the HVAC system. In terms of the charity fund, we budgeted $25,000. You gave us almost $24,000, and we dispersed $12,000 of that to either individuals or to charitable organizations. The remaining $11,000 has been banked in escrow with the diocese, designated for charity to be used for charitable means this year. We have approximately $70,000 in our general savings, plus a whole large series of designated funds. We have approximately $375,000 in savings. $215,000 of that has been designated upon the recommendation of the Finance Council towards future financial planning regarding the long-term issue of the debt. The debt of the parish as of the end of the fiscal year is a little bit over $2 million. We are making all of our payments, and we are frankly in rather good shape paying all of that off. So the financial situation of the parish is in very stable, positive, good territory. We are becoming aware of some deferred maintenance issues on the building. We have already committed some $20,000 in the budget for a repair on the church roof. That will take place the week after Thanksgiving. We've already committed money in the budget to upgrade our videography capacity with an upgraded camera in the church, which is on delivery and we're still waiting, and an upgraded iPad for our outdoor use. That will be used probably within the next week or two. We've also redone the day chapel to serve as a conference center so that we have a somewhat larger indoor gathering space for somewhat larger groups, most particularly Catholic Carolina Night for campus ministry. Our budget goals for this year. We'd like to stabilize offertory at about $525,000. Offertory has been gently declining for the last several years, and we'd like to stabilize that, most particularly given also, of course, the problems with COVID. It's difficult to gauge where we're going to be. But we'd like to stabilize that number so at least we have a base pattern from which to budget appropriately. We're asking for $225,000 in the annual fund, which is somewhat smaller than last year, again, recognizing that we're in a COVID situation. Annual fund, as you all know, helps to provide for all of the mission and programming that we do, most particularly to defray some of the staff salaries. We're asking for $100,000 in debt reduction special collections. Essentially, this is a $25,000 a quarter, and we are soliciting benefactors who have been very generous. For the first 2 quarters, we already have $10,000 lead gifts, and we're well ahead after the first quarter, and we hope to make that same kind of goal in the second quarter. We are asking for $50,000 for building and maintenance as well. Again, the buildings are aging, and we have some deferred costs that we'd like to address before they get too far ahead of us. I, the Parish Finance Council, and the Parish Pastoral Council remain very optimistic about the future of Newman, particularly its economic, stewardship, and facilities maintenance. I personally also remain very optimistic about deepening our sense of mission, finding concrete ways to engage more and more of our parishioners in a process of deepening their discipleship of Jesus Christ by deepening their life of prayer, deepening their study and understanding of the faith, engaging more deeply in Christian community, which supports us in a world that doesn't quite any longer support us in the living out of our faith, and the possibility of doing deeper commitments towards service, mission, and justice. We're all trying to slowly work in this direction to build up our sense of discipleship. And for that, we'll be calling upon you very, very regularly in the near future. God willing, next year I will not have to report in the midst of a COVID pandemic. God willing, things will have settled down by that point. And we are in this for the long haul, and we're in this for the long haul with you. I'd like to just end by thanking you for your incredible generosity, thanking you for sustaining us, particularly during the very dark times when we were all locked in the house back in March and April and into early May, and thanking you for your gung-ho spirit in showing up every weekend, whether in the heat or in the cold, or in this particular day in the wind, with your chairs and your everything you to do to celebrate the liturgy together outside. How many of you told me in those first weeks how much you missed both communion and community? And I always take the opportunity to recognize both of them are rooted in Christ. One is the participation in his body and blood in communion, and the other is reforming his body in the communion of the church gathered together. So thank you for everything. I am so happy and glad to be here with you, and I hope you find this helpful. God bless and take care.